Hare Krishna, my friends. Welcome to Bhaktiville. Here we are, Bhaktimimulus and I. We don't know where everyone else is. The weather is so wonderful. They're probably out goofing around. Those devotees, get over here. Well, tonight in Teachings of Queen Kunti, we're on chapter 22. This chapter is titled Beauty in Krishna's Presence. When Sri Krishna is present, there is beauty everywhere. And when he is absent, it is no longer there. We're on page 184 of the PDF and page 161 of the book. Just a short announcement before we begin. In 1 month, there's 4 more meetings, we will have completed our book, Teachings of Queen Kunti. We recently made a decision here about what book to read next. We're going to read the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. We're very excited about this. Srimad Bhagavatam is described as being the ripened fruit of all the Vedic literature. All the Vedic knowledge is condensed here in this book. There are 12 cantos or books in the Bhagavatam, and it's quite long. We're making a commitment to read the first canto, which is 808 verses long, along with the introduction. And so along the way, we'll also learn some verses that are regularly chanted before reading the Bhagavatam, and we'll also look at the various verse forms that are used. So I'm really looking forward to this. Hey, Hare Krishna Kandita. So we'll go on with our reading for tonight. Again, we're on page 184 of the PDF or page 161 of the book. Hare Krishna. So let's do the verse. It's up there on the board, verse chapter 22. We'll do the word for word first. Na, not, Iyam, this land of our kingdom, Shobhishyate, will appear beautiful, Tatra, then, Yata, as it is now, Idanim, now, Gadadhar, O Krishna, Tvat, your, Padai, by the feet, Ankita, marked, Bhati, is dazzling, Svalakshana, your own marks, Vilakshitai, by the impressions. Sanskrit, Nayam Shobhishyate Tatra Yate Danim Gadadhara, Tvat Padar Ankita Bhati, Svalakshana Vilakshitai. O Gadadhar Krishna, our kingdom is now being marked by the impressions of your feet, and therefore, it appears beautiful. But when you leave, it will no longer be so. Srimad Bhagavatam 1:8-39. There are certain particular marks on the feet of the Lord which distinguish the Lord from others. The marks of a flag, a thunderbolt, an instrument to drive an elephant, and also an umbrella, lotus, disc, etc., are all on the bottom of the Lord's feet. These marks are impressed upon the soft dust of the land where the Lord traverses. The land of Hastinapur was thus marked while Lord Sri Krishna was there with the Pandavas, and the kingdom of the Pandavas thus flourished by such auspicious signs. Kunti Devi points out these distinguished features and is afraid of ill luck in the absence of the Lord. In the Chanakya Shloka, the instructions of the great moralist Chanakya Pandit, there is a very nice verse. Prithvi Bhushanam Raja, Narinam Bhushanam Pati, Sarvari Bhushanam Chandro, Vidya Sarvasya Bhushanam. And I'll just tell you the translation of that verse. The ornament of the earth is the king. The ornament of a woman is a good husband. The ornament of night is the moon, and knowledge is the ornament of everything. Everything looks beautiful when one is intimately related with it. The sky, for example, becomes beautiful in relationship with the moon. The sky is always present, but on the full moon night, When the moon and stars shine brilliantly, it looks very nice. Similarly, the state looks very well if there's a good government with a good king or president. Then everyone is happy and everyone goes on well. Also, although girls are naturally beautiful, a girl looks especially beautiful when she has a husband. Vidya sarvasya bhushanam. But if a person, however ugly, is a learned scholar, that is his beauty. Similarly, everything will look beautiful when Krishna is present. Just looking at chat. Oh, they're just saying hello to everybody. Good, good. So therefore, Kunti Devi thinks, as long as Krishna is with us, everything in our kingdom and our capital, Hastinapur, is beautiful. But when Krishna is absent, our kingdom will not be beautiful. She says, Krishna, you are now walking in our kingdom, and the impressions of your footprints are making everything beautiful. There is sufficient water and fruit, and everything looks beautiful. But when you leave us, it will not look beautiful. It is not that this applied only when Krishna was present and Kunti was speaking. Rather, the truth is always the same. Despite the advancement of our civilization, if we cannot bring Krishna and Krishna consciousness into the center of everything, our civilization will never become beautiful. Those who have joined the Krishna consciousness movement were beautiful before they joined, but now that they have become Krishna conscious, they look especially beautiful. Therefore, the newspapers often describe the devotees as bright-faced. Their countrymen remark, how joyful and beautiful these boys and girls have become. At the present time in America, many of the younger generation are confused and hopeless, and therefore they appear morose and black-faced. Why? Because they are missing the point. They have no aim in life. But the devotees, the Krishnaites, look very beautiful because of the presence of Krishna. Therefore, what was a fact 5,000 years ago, during the time of the Pandavas, is still a fact now. With Krishna in the center, everything becomes beautiful, and Krishna can become the center at any time. Krishna is always present, and we simply have to invite him. My Lord, please come and be in the center. That's all. To give the same example I have given before, 0 has no value. But if we bring the number 1 and place it by the side of 0, the 0 becomes 10. So one need not stop doing whatever one is doing. We never say, stop everything material. One simply has to add Krishna. Of course, we have to give up anything which is against Krishna consciousness. It is not that because we do not stop material duties, we should not stop meat eating. We should stop it, for this is contrary to advancement in Krishna consciousness. One cannot commit sinful activities and at the same time advance in Krishna consciousness. But Krishna says, Aham tvam sarva prapabhyo mokshayishyami. Surrender unto me, and I shall rescue you by giving you liberation from all kinds of sinful reactions. Every one of us, life after life, is knowingly or unknowingly committing sinful activities. I may knowingly kill an animal, that is certainly sinful, but even if I do it unknowingly, it is also sinful. While walking on the street, we unknowingly kill so many ants, and in the course of our other ordinary dealings, while cooking, while taking water, while using a mortar and pestle to crush spices, we kill so many living beings. Unless we remain Krishna conscious, we are liable to be punished for all these unknowingly committed sinful acts. If a child unknowingly touches a fire, does it mean that the fire will excuse the child and not burn? No. Nature's law is so strict, so stringent, that there is no question of an excuse. Even in ordinary law, ignorance is no excuse. If we go to court and say, I did not know that this action was criminal, this plea does not mean that we shall be excused. Similarly, ignorance is no excuse for transgressing nature's laws. Therefore, if we actually want to be free from the reactions of sinful life, we must be Krishna conscious, for then Krishna will free us from all sinful reactions. It is therefore recommended, Kirtaniya Sada Hari. One should always chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, so that Krishna will save us. That phrase right there is also part of the third verse of Shikshastakam. So we should always keep Krishna within our minds, for Krishna is like the sun. This is the motto of our Back to Godhead magazine. Krishna Surya Sama Maya Haya Andakara. Yahan Krishna Tahanai Mayaro Adhikara. And this is the translation. Krishna is just like the brilliant sun, and Maya, ignorance, is just like darkness. When the sun is present, there cannot be darkness. So if we keep ourselves in Krishna consciousness always, we cannot be influenced by the darkness of ignorance. Rather, we shall always walk very freely in the bright sunshine of Krishna. Kunti Devi therefore prays that Krishna continue to be present with her and the Pandavas. In fact, however, Krishna was not leaving the Pandavas, just as he never left Vrindavan. In the Shastra, the Vedic literature, it is said, Vrindavanam parityajya no padam ekam gachati. Sorry, I'm having trouble seeing the screen right now. So Krishna never goes even one step from Vrindavan, and this phrase is from Rupa Goswami's Lagu Bhagavatam Rita. So he is so much attached to Vrindavan. How is it then that we see that Krishna left Vrindavan and went to Mathura, and then far away to Hastinapur, and did not return for many years? Actually, Krishna did not leave, for all the inhabitants of Vrindavan, after Krishna left, were always thinking of him and crying. The only engagement of Mother Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj, Radharani, and all the gopis, the cows, the calves, the cowherd boys, was to think of Krishna and cry, and in this way they felt Krishna to be present, because Krishna's presence can be felt more strongly in separation from him. That is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teaching, to love Krishna in separation. Sunyayitam jagat sarvam govinda virahena me. Sorry. That's also from Shikshastakam, from verse 7. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thought everything is vacant without Govinda, without Krishna. Everything was vacant, but Krishna consciousness was there. When we see everything as nothing, but have only Krishna consciousness, we have attained the highest perfection. Therefore the gopis are so exalted. Having attained this perfection, they could not forget Krishna even for a single moment. When Krishna went to the forest with his cows and calves, the minds of the gopis at home were disturbed. Oh, Krishna is walking barefoot, they thought. There's so many stones and nails on the path, and they must be pricking Krishna's lotus feet, which are so soft that we think our breasts hard when Krishna puts his lotus feet upon them. Thus they would cry, absorbed in these thoughts. The gopis were so anxious to see Krishna back home in the evening that they would stand on the path looking to see Krishna returning with his calves and cows. This is Krishna consciousness. Krishna cannot be absent from a devotee when the devotee is intensely absorbed in Krishna thought. Here, Kunti Devi is very much anxious. thinking that Krishna will be absent. But the actual effect of Krishna's physical absence is that he becomes more intensely present within the mind of the devotee. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by the example of his actual life, taught Vipralambha Seva, service of Krishna in separation. Tears would come from his eyes like torrents of rain, for he would feel everything to be vacant for want of Krishna. There are two stages of meeting Krishna: being personally present with Krishna, personally meeting him, personally talking with him, and personally embracing him is called sambhoga. But there is another way to be with Krishna, in separation from him, and this is called vipralambha. A devotee can benefit from Krishna's association in both ways. Because we are now, here, let me just take a drink of water. I'll be back in a second. Sorry about that. Because we are now in the material world, didn't help, we do not see Krishna directly. Nonetheless, we can see him indirectly. For example, if one sees the Pacific Ocean, one can remember Krishna immediately if one is advanced in spiritual life. This is called meditation. One may think, the Pacific Ocean is such a vast mass of water with many large waves, but although I'm standing only a few yards from it, I am confident that I am safe. However powerful this ocean may be and however fearful its waves, I am sure that it will not go beyond its limits. How is this happening? By the order of Krishna. Krishna orders, my dear Pacific Ocean, you may be very big and powerful, but you cannot come beyond this line. In this way, one can immediately remember Krishna, or God, who is so powerful that even the Pacific Ocean abides by his order. In this way, one can think of Krishna, and that is Krishna consciousness. Similarly, when one sees the sunrise, one can immediately remember Krishna. For Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 7:8, Prabhasmi Shashi Surya. I am the shining of the sun and the moon. If one has learned how to see Krishna, one can see him in the sunshine. Our scientists have not created the sun, and though they may juggle words, it is beyond their ability to know what the sun actually is. But the Vedanta Sutra 113 says, Shastra Yonitvat. One can know everything through the Shastra, the Vedic literature. For example, if one studies the Vedic literature, one can know what the sun is, for the sun is described in the Brahma Samhita 552. That's a typo there on the book, 552. Yat chakshur esha savita sakala grahanam raja samasta sura murtir ashesha tejaha yasyagnya ya brahmatisam pratakala chakro govindam adipurusham tamaham bhajami. Translation of this verse is, the sun, who is the king of all the planets, full of infinite effulgence, the image of the good soul, is as the eye of this world. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, in pursuance of whose order the sun performs his journey, mounting the wheel of time. This verse describes the sun as the eye of all the planets, and if one meditates upon this, one can understand that this is a fact, for at night, before the sun rises, one cannot see. The sun is also described as the eye of the Lord. The sun is one of his eyes, and the moon is the other. In the Upanishads, therefore, it is said that only when Krishna sees can we see. The sun is also described as Ashesha Tejaha, unlimitedly hot. And what is its function? Yasya Nyaya Brahmati Sambrita Kala Chakraha. The sun has its orbit. God has ordered the sun. You just travel within this orbit and not anywhere else. The scientists say that if the sun were to move a little to one side, the whole universe would be ablaze. If it moved to the other side, the whole universe would freeze. But by the order of the Supreme, it does not move even 1/10,000th of an inch from where it should be. It always rises exactly at the correct time. Why? There must be some discipline, some obedience, some order. The Brahma Samhita therefore says, Yasya Nyaya Brahmati Sambrita Kalachakra Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship that original person, by whose order the sun moves in its orbit. It is he who gives the direction even to the sun, the ocean, and the moon. Everything takes place under his order. So where is the difficulty in understanding God? There is no difficulty. If one is actually sane, if one has a brain that is not made of stool, one can understand God at every step. The Lord says, Rasoham apsu konteya prabhasmi shashi surya yoho pranava sarva vedeshu shabda ke purushanshu. O son of Kunti, Arjuna, I am the taste of water, the light of the sun and the moon, the syllable Om, the Vedic mantras. I am the sound and ether and ability in man. Bhagavad Gita 7:8. Why then do people say, I've not seen God? Why don't they see God as God directs them to see him? Why do they manufacture their own way? One cannot see God by one's own way. That is not possible. If one tries to do so, one will always remain blind. At the present moment, so-called philosophers and scientists are trying to see God in their own way, but that is not possible. One has to see God by God's way, then one can see him. If I want to see the President of the United States, can I see him in my own way? If not, then how can I expect to see God in my own way? Is it not rascaldom? I cannot see even an ordinary man in an important position in my own way. I have to make an appointment with the secretary and make the other appropriate arrangements. But although God is so much greater than ordinary men, rascals support the view that one can see God in one's own way. As many ways as you invent, they say, they are all bona fide. This is rascaldom. The world is full of rascals and fools, and therefore God consciousness, Krishna consciousness, has become a vague idea. Otherwise, if one wants to see God, if one wants him to be always present, as Kunti Devi is requesting that he be, one can keep God always within one's heart. We simply have to apply our mind and senses in Krishna consciousness, as was done by Maharaj Ambarish. Savai mana Krishna padara vindayor vachamsi vaikunta gunanu varnane, from Bhagavatam 9:4-18. And that phrase translates to, Maharaj Ambarish always engaged his mind in meditating upon the lotus feet of Krishna. His words, engaged his mind in meditating upon the lotus feet of Krishna, and his words in describing the glories of the Lord. So first we must fix our minds on the lotus feet of Krishna, for the mind is the center of all sensory activities. If the mind were absent, in spite of having eyes, we could not see, and in spite of having ears, we could not hear. Therefore, the mind is considered the 11th sense. There are 10 senses, 5 working senses, and 5 knowledge-acquiring senses, and the center of the senses is the mind. The Bhagavad Gita 3:42 says, Indrayane prayanyahor indriyebhya paramana manasastu parabuddhir yobude paratastu saha. The translation is, the working senses are superior to dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is still higher than the mind, and he, the soul, is even higher than the intelligence. So in this verse, Krishna explains that although we consider the senses to be very prominent, beyond the senses is something superior, the mind. And beyond the mind is the intelligence. Beyond the intelligence is the soul. How can we appreciate the existence of the soul if we cannot understand even the psychological movements of the mind? Beyond the mind is the intelligence, and by speculation, one can, at the utmost, approach the intellectual platform. But to understand the soul and God, one must go beyond the intellectual platform. It is possible to understand everything, but we must gain understanding through the right channel. Therefore, the Vedic instruction is Tad Vijnanartam Sagurum eva Pikachet Samit Pani Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. If one is actually serious about understanding supernatural, transcendental subject matters, one must approach a bona fide spiritual master. That's from the Mundaka Upanishad 1-12. And that's the end of that chapter. Any questions or comments? I think we can turn our microphones on, Bhakti.
I don't have any questions. That was very nice.
It's lovely. I love reading these because I can envision Srila Prabhupada speaking. These are transcriptions of classes, so I can hear him speaking while I'm reading. Bhaktiville says, love and separation seems too sad to me. Yes, it is sad, but Krishna is always present in that mood.
I know it's sad, too sad for me. Yeah. I know it's supposed to be the highest, and but so sad.
It is, but here we are. We are separated from Krishna, and that is sad. So we do have all these different ways to see him, the sun, the moon, the plants, the light, the everything. But yeah, we are in separation from him. And then Bhaktiville says, most of my material life has been love and separation, and it's not good. But then he also says Paramatma. We also have Paramatma. Thank you for reminding me. We have Paramatma here in our heart. We have all of that Vrindavan in our heart. We need to learn how to access that. I was just reading a quote about that today. Let's see if I can find it real quick. It's a really great quote. I also wanted to say, Kandita, you were right about Jai and Vijay being Lord Chaitanya's pastime. That they are Jagai and
Alas.
They are
Yeah.
Jagai. You were right about that. Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
thanks for confirming that.
Yeah, sure. No, it bothered me that it was like, wait a minute, what's going on here? So I was glad to be able to find it.
Yeah, me too.
Here's the quote. Our inner aspiration for rasa, ecstasy, is buried in the heart, and the heart is tied down and sealed. But hearing and chanting the glories of Krishna breaks the seal of the heart, and the heart awakens and opens to receive Krishna, the reservoir of pleasure, ecstasy himself. That's from Srila Bhakti Rashak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj. So I like that whole idea. Breaks it open. All right, so we have 4 more classes, and then we'll start our Bhagavatam series. So I'm
Jai.
looking forward to that. All right. Someday we will know that Krishna's name is him. Yes. Yes. It will come to us. Krishna's coming slowly, slowly. Actually, every little bit we go, he jumps forward toward us, even more so. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I forgot to offer my pranams. I was so excited about the Bhagavatam thing. Let me offer them now. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna
Hare Krishna
Prasthaya
Prasthaya
Bhutale
Bhutale
Manti Bhaktivedanta
Srimad
Swaminiti Namane.
Bhaktiville Namane Namaste Sa
Vanchakalpa. Oh, sorry. Let me do Vanchakalpa. Vanchakalpa Trubhista. Kripasindhuvi Evacha. Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo. Namo Namaha.